gamer of light, the hope of wargaming.
Hey everyone, and yeah, we've got audio. This is a first. We're actually set up on time. Sam's in the chat as well, which is always awesome. Sam, beautiful people, says Frost and Fist. Well, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me. This is Monday Musing 742, something like that. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done one of those, and we'll cover why that is a little bit. But I'm back. I'm back for a show tonight, and to give me some moral support along the way, I've got wrong way. What an amateur! 3 of my friends joining me over there. So we got Ralph, Coleman, and Mark joining us in the chat tonight as well. But there's a whole bunch of other stuff as well. On my desk, we've got a big stack of goodies. So you know, we'll be talking a little bit about what's on my desk at the moment, and you know, if anybody's got any questions about that stuff, then happy to talk about that as well. We're going to be having a wee look at the forum tonight just to see what people have been up to on the forum. We've got some pretty cool posts up there at the moment. Smorgs Raff, by the way, is Car Carajon Astras, or Car Charadon, is it? Anyway, very awesome models and lovely people in the chat to talk to us about hobby. But before we go anywhere, let's do the good old look through the chat and see who's joining us. Coleman's in there. Hey, Coleman. Jim Wilson, Big Rich. Al Kirkham is in there. Good old Al Kirkham. Good to see you again, sir. Sam Stocks is in there. Good man. And Frost and Fist. The chat's just going to be taken up by people catching up with Sam, isn't it? But that's cool. You get on with that. That's brilliant. Sleepy Tiger painting some Bugman Rangers from 1985. Nice sculpts, but very small. Bless you. They are tiny models. Bugman's Rangers. I had the Orc version of the Regiment of Renown, because that will be the Regiment of Renown from 85, won't it? So I just can't remember the name of the Orc, but someone will probably remind me. He was sort of great big Orc with folded arms. He was absolutely awesome. My favourite model at the time. Amit says hello, and hello to everybody. And Frost and Fist is in there, Kablams is in there, and audio coming in through loud and clear, which is awesome. Jim Wilson. Martin Dick saying hello, and Martin Dick says, hey Sam, I got a girlfriend, kind of took my life. Well, there you go, it happens, doesn't it? And in fact, just as I said that, Sam popped up with it happened, so there you go. Right, let's have a little chat then about what happened to the December giveaways and those kind of things. People will probably appreciate, I don't want to go too much into this, but we had some bad news in my family, basically. And I've been running up and down the motorway visiting a relative in hospital. He doesn't watch the channel. It's my brother-in-law, Stuart. But Stuart, mate, I am wishing you well. Keep fighting, dude. But needless to say, we had some terrible news in the family, and we've all been trying to rally around and support us during these times. Don't really want to go into any more, but it's just taken up a bit of time. And of course, you know, family comes first. So that's knocked a few things to one side. So for starters, the giveaways which were meant to have started last week haven't started. I've made the executive decision to actually start the giveaways over the Christmas period. So we're going to be doing sort of a 12 days of Christmas, announcing I've decided now 12 giveaways and the 12 days of Christmas, and there will be a draw end of January, beginning of February, something like that. So I've added a bunch of prizes to the mix of things to make up for being late. We've got all sorts of amazing goodies going on, including things like everlasting wet pallets and stuff like that. So it's all going to be very cool prizes, but a little bit delayed. I hope everyone can appreciate that. But there's also been a whole bunch of stuff come through for review. So one of the things I was just going to quickly go through what's on my desk right now. So what is on my desk right now? For starters, I mentioned these briefly. This review will be going up this week. These are the Gamergrass battle ready bases. I've done a review of those. I've hit them with a hammer. I've poked at them with tools. They are incredible and incredibly resilient. And the grass tufts as well are just as good, if not maybe even better. I don't know. It's hard to choose between the two sides of their range. But I've been really impressed with those. And I'm also really impressed with their patience, because I know they've been waiting for me to get that review up. So apologies, guys. fantastic product. Don't wait for my review. Go along to their website, Gamers Grass. Check their products out because they're just absolutely amazing. I mean, just look at the detail on those bases. Straight out of the pack, ready to go. We've got Chapter Approved and Vigilist Defiant, and I've spoken to the chaps at Games Workshop and apologise for not hitting the embargo date. They're absolutely fine. They understand the situation I'm in at the moment. But my reviews of these products will be going live before you get them in your hands through the shop. So we'll be looking forward to seeing some of those. On top of that, we've had this wonderful little hobby grip from Redgrass Games, which is just absolutely awesome. It's called the 360. The idea is you can ergonomic grip. You can kind of hold it in your hand and just rotate the model around. I've done a bit of review of that. This is a prototype, so it's a 3D printed prototype. But even the 3D printed prototype is absolutely gorgeous. So check out the news on Redgrass Games. Again, the review will be going up in the next 4 or 5 days. But check it out because they're absolutely awesome. We've had, and Sam was round my house the other day, and he spotted these. I was trying to hide them from him, but unfortunately I'd stuck them up on the wall. So these are wall colours, and Sam was straight in there. He can testify. They look absolutely amazing. I'm trying to get them on camera for you. I've got a whole bunch of these going across the metallic range, the transparent colours, and the opaque colours and base colours, sort of one coat colours. This is an incredible range of products, and we'll talk a little bit to Ralph about those in a bit because I know he's already painting with them. It was actually Ralph who put me onto these guys. They've been incredibly generous in sending a whole bunch of paints for review, and I've started filming the reviews, but I'm working on things like, you know, trying the transparents out and glazing them up on a flat piece of plastic card so you can kind of see it on a flat surface building up, and obviously I have to do a little bit of dry time in between each one, but I have started filming the reviews for that, but they're quite in depth, so it's going to take some time. On top of that, we had some incredible paintbrushes from these, really, and again, we'll talk a little bit to Ralph about those in a second because he's been using those, and I think good feedback so far. Man, and what studio version of the Everlasting Wet Palette, absolutely amazing. And last but by no means least, SLA Industries sent me through a copy of their rules, their new rules section. That's the rule book that just come out for their system. It's great. I really enjoyed having a flip through this. We'll be talking a little bit about that and maybe doing a demo game or two as well. So, wow, that's just about everything on my desk at the moment. I'm happy if anybody's got any questions or anything else like that. Then I will be happy to try my best to share them. Although bear in mind, I've not read much of the SLA industry stuff. I've read the front section of Vigilus. It is mind-blowingly brilliant. And of course I've flipped through and checked out pretty much everything that's already out on the rumour mills now in terms of point changes. One last point. I will not be going through like opening up the points pages on the camera, just because of course Games Workshop wouldn't be very happy if I just showed everybody what the points changes are. You know, that is what they release these things for, and you know. But what is in there is some awesome stuff for generating characters, for open play, for narrative play. There's a whole host of new missions for match play, including you know, the Internal Wall and Maelstrom. But we've also got things like City of Death in there, which are very cool missions. I'm really looking forward to doing some of those on the Bat Reps. And in fact, we are filming a City of Death game tomorrow night. So how cool is that? Wow, that's everything I think that I've caught up with. And I'm going to bring my guest back up. Ralph, seeing as though you're there, do you want to do a quick what you're working on at the moment, and also if you would like to sort of pass comment on your thoughts on Warcolor so far?
Right. Right now, I've just finished literally the first batch of my AdMed kill team, which I've put a post on the forum. So hopefully...
Hold on a second, I can bring that up while you're talking.
I'm working in the next batch of my AdMeg is ready to be primed. I'm building my commander for my AdMeg team, the Magus Thrust, as we speak. And funny enough, I've painted the Skitari with the war colors. So I've been experimenting with those paints for like 6 months or so. And I don't know if you can see it right behind me up there. My wall of paint.
Gotcha.
There is basically the third range down is my watercolors collection. It's not all of them, but pretty much everything. That's my old ones.
Well,
I think I uploaded the wrong picture.
There goes the 20-second delay between you looking at the live show. Yeah, I think that's illustrated it perfectly there. It gave me a good chuckle. You know what though? Before we go on, this of course is a shot of your Stormcast, yeah?
Yep.
And they're looking beautiful.
That's my Stormcast.
Is that everything painted on the Stormcast? Is that right?
No. That's a shot I took like 6 months ago. There's a couple of the sequitors that are done by now, and I've got my Lord Vanders on Dracoth, which is done, and the rest of the new starter box is built, ready to be primed and done. So.
Awesome. That is cool, man. Right. Okay, I was going to offer for Sam to join in as well on the show, but I'm not sure he's set up to do so, and he's probably quite happy hovering on the chat, so no pressure, Sam. But this is a Facebook message. We're using Facebook now because it's been announced that Google is indeed switching off Google Hangout. So, but I could set you a link anyway, but let me know if you want to join in and say hello. Just in the chat, lots of people wishing me well and wishing my brother-in-law well. Thank you very much, man. Everybody who's saying that, I do appreciate that. I was kind of 50-50, do I mention it or don't I mention it, but it's caused quite a delay on a lot of the releases, so I kind of felt honesty is the best policy, and you never know, maybe a whole bunch of well wishers out there is exactly the kind of thing Stuart needs right now, so I hope so. Okay, we've got Slippy Tiger say, yeah, it's the Regiment of Renowned one. It comes with Bugman, but compared to the Forge World Blood Bowl Bugman, it's a little child. Yeah, they were all tiny back in the day, weren't they? I'm still Harboth. I think that's the name of the orc. Harboth, I think it was called, but someone will find out for me anyway. Regiment of Renown. So Furious George, lots of people wishing me luck, or rather wishing prayers for my family, etc. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate that. Amit says, curious about the SLA Industries cannibal sector. You know who you need to speak to if you want really deep information on that stuff, because his name is in this book. You just give that fella there a call, Mr. Rapson, and I'm sure he will help you out on the cannibal section. Or after this show, you give me a call and we'll have a chat through it. There's some very cool models coming out for the cannibal sector because I've seen the pre-releases up on the Facebook group. Kablam says, holy mackerel, and then I scrolled and lost him. Sorry, Kablams. Holy mackerel, so much stuff. Yes, a whole bunch of stuff did land on my desk. I think lots of people were hoping for kind of reviews and stuff before Christmas. They will be out before Christmas, I absolutely guarantee it. I think I'm going to release one every 2 days over the next couple of days. So, yes, we'll get those out. And did anybody order the collector's edition of Vigilus, says Amit, and those paintbrushes look interesting. Sam doesn't even know what Vigilus is. Of course you don't, Sam. You're out the loop, dude. Vigilus is the new campaign pack for Warhammer 40k. It's very, very, very cool. In many respects, Vigilus is the new Armageddon or the new Cadia. This is a planet that is... oh, sorry. I'm believing I'm showing you the book. I gave you the end credits instead. Hold on a second, guys. There you go. So it is a campaign book with some very, very cool stuff in there. So you've got all the kind of stuff going off in the hive sprawls. You've got essentially a whole bunch of factions getting involved in this. Space Marines, Eldar, Genestealer Cult Uprising. I think there's some orcs in there as well. So there's all these factions getting in on the action. Adapters Mechanicus are in there as well. It is very, very cool. You've got new Force Orgs. You've got new stratagems. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff that you can apply to your general 40k games. But like I say, very, very cool, very thick campaign book. So exciting times. Ralph, you said you tried the brushes out. Sorry. The one thing you said to me was just the amount of bristles on each one of those brushes was the thing that impressed you? I think I can kind of just about get a shot there. Look, there you go.
I mean, they've got two paint brush ranges. They've got one which is the crystal handle brush, and they have got a really nice body of the sorts of the likes of your Windsors and Newtons. Extremely fine tip. They're not Kolinsky sable, but they are sable brushes. But for the price, to be honest, I mean, you can get 5 of them for the price of one Winsor Newton Series 7.
Wow.
I can totally, for now, I mean, I've been working with them for about a month or 2 now, and they are absolutely fine. There are no issues whatsoever with them so far, as long as you make sure, like with any other brush, that you don't get paint in the ferrule. Totally recommend them.
Do you know what else as well? And I think this goes for every product I've got on my desk right now. The team at Redgrass, the Warcolors, the Gamergrass, the Warhammer community, and of course the wonderful people at SLA. Just fantastic people to deal with, and certainly the chap at Warcolors just going above and beyond to get product out to me as well. So I've got plenty of time to put the reviews together and stuff, and throwing a few extra things in that were completely unexpected. Just absolutely brilliant. So that's been a light, if you like, when I've come home after some pretty tough days, and to find a little package waiting for me on my doorstep has really put a huge smile on my face. So they've been an absolute pleasure to deal with. Again, Redgrass Games, amazing, considering how busy those people are. Vivian there is just amazing, absolute top guy. So awesome stuff. Right, okay, we've got Gonk saying hello, gents and ladies. Who else is in there? Sam Socks is in there. Johnny Rockstar is in saying good evening also. Hello, there's some good, nice names. Nice to see some names in the chat again. That's really cool. Build up to Christmas. I'm hoping that over Christmas I'm going to do a couple of shows as well, so it'd be really nice if everyone can join me. Right, there's 2 people who've not said much in the show so far tonight. Let's put you on the spot. Thanks to Dank Donut for 21 for just subscribing, and you know what? I'm going to pick on Mark first because he looks the least prepared. Mark, what's going on with your life at the moment, hobby-wise?
I'm working on scenery at the moment.
Scenery?
I'm looking to get a board set up at home.
That's not my scenery, is it?
No, my own.
I thought you were painting my scenery then. I know I joked about it, but
starting to put my own together.
Mark came round my house the other day for an emergency tabletop. Basically, that's what was required, wasn't it? We boxed up a whole bunch of scenery from the bat reps here and the moon base. Stuck all of that in a box. Did you get a game in then?
I didn't actually know. That's annoying.
So you're working on your own scenery at least.
Yeah.
Cool. Is that 40k or Sigmar?
40k at the moment, and then I'm gonna slowly look at Sigmar potentially.
We need to have a chat before you go too far buying loads of stuff, because I've got all sorts of spare bits and bobs lying around. So let's have a chat before you go crazy on that one. Right. Okay, Coleman. Anything happening in your world? You're not doing a huge lot of hobby, but you have been playing because there's something.
I do manage to squeeze at the moment. I do manage to squeeze about a game a month, but it's it's getting me ready for when I finally make my way over your way. I'm getting bits and pieces. That's second of my flame cannons now.
Oh, hold on a second. You're showing something on. Oh, okay, gotcha. Right, flame cannons. Nice.
Oh yeah, the list. Yeah, we can talk about that.
That's cool. I got back in time for the flame cannon, but yeah, let's move on. You post up a 1,000-point list. Is this from a game you played?
Yes, the latest one, and it actually worked quite nicely.
Okay, talk us through the logic behind the list then.
So I knew who I was playing. It was friendly game with 2 mates, and we did a 3-way game with custom-made battle plan, and I was up against Wanderers and a mixture of Khorne.
Yeah.
And I found out that with I mean, you push into it. The disposers don't have variety of heroes, so you know you don't invest points in heroes. So the best way is to make the most of the boots on the ground, basically. And I must say, after the AOS 2 adjustments to the wall scrolls, some of those units that previously were probably underused because they were too expensive and they didn't have enough going for them, turn around, full 180 degrees, and I think they seem to, people start picking up on it. So if you take Iron Drakes, they do now have 2 attacks each for as long as you got more than 10 on the table. And those 2 attacks are 3 up, -1 rend, but you can buff the rend with Rune Rod to -2. If you choose the Grudge, I usually go with the Shoddy Craftsmanship, which gives you reroll of 1s to hit against anything that's got 4-up save or better.
Yeah.
So if you're hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s.
That's nice. Yeah. And
then you get 3 up to wound on -2 rend. Suddenly that is 360 point, well, 460 with the Rune Lord, but it's a 460 really well spent.
Nice. I'm a big fan of the the artifact, the Griff Feathers. Have you seen that, the Griff Feather Chargers from General's Handbook 2018, which gives you the -1 to hit and an extra inch movement, which for dwarves, I think that extra inch movement for your boss is pretty cool. -1 to hit as well. That really sort of, it's huge. It can have a big impact against, when you've also got -1 to hit essentially from lookouts. I think it's I think that can really add up and help protect your leader from any shooting attacks.
That is true. However, to address the mobility issue, if you take the Ancestral Pickaxe, then you've got that one unit that you can place anywhere on the table.
Okay. Yeah.
And then let the rest catch up, which is exactly what I did, and it worked out.
Nice.
Because we had one objective to get to, so all three armies had to get to one objective. So it was a race, and those Iron Drakes basically kept cleaning up the objective area.
Cool.
Pretty much.
Well, we had a game. I'm just going to try and bring this up on screen. So Steve, who used to be on the channel, but joined the ranks of Games Workshop. So therefore, we've not seen him on the channel for a while, which is understandable. Although we have got some bat reports filmed with Steve, but they were filmed with him before he started working for Games Workshop. So we should be good to publish those. I think they're absolutely fine. But Steve invited us down for a game of 2017 General's Handbook Triumph and Treachery. The one with Treachery points as opposed to the ones without. I've never played anything like that before. 5 players, 1,000 points each. Utter carnage. It was just amazing. I was the first turn I had no idea what was going off. The second turn I had some idea what was going off. The third turn I was back to having no idea what was happening. It was just amazing. I've got some photos here. So this was Jack's daughters, which he hadn't finished basing, by the way. But in fairness, that's because he's basing his daughters and my Iden of Deepkin are going on a combined base scheme that I'm currently working on in sort of 3D software. So I'm still sculpting and designing those bases. So he temporarily based them on standard bases, even with the odd blob of blue tack you can spot there. But Steve was cool with that. He was like, no, just bring your models along, let's have some fun. We were up against a whole bunch of Skaven. They were just filth. They were filth all over. The doom bell was ringing every second. There was also a Sylvaneth player, and there's my Fire Slayers in the corner, and then Steve with his kind of Night Haunt, but not Legions of Nagash Night Haunt. I don't quite know all the details of how it all works out. It was just an incredibly funny, messy butchery of a game. The Sylvaneth player in first turn. Have you guys played Triumph and Treachery? Have you any idea how it works?
No.
Okay, so you know, in this,
that many friends feel.
in this instance, you've got 5 players basically. You roll to see who gets the turn, essentially the priority. So you know, you all roll the dice. Whoever gets the highest can choose to go or choose somebody else to go. And then the next 4 players would roll a dice at the end of their turn, and it keeps going until all 5 players have had a turn, and then you move on to the second turn of the game. What's interesting is per phase you have to name who your opponent is. So, and if you,
right.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't attack everybody. You can run past somebody who's not the opponent, for instance. You can go within 3 inches of them because they're not your enemy. So you can do all sorts of shenanigans. You can, for instance, not name someone in the move turn and move really close to them, and then name them in the combat turn and pile in without having to do charges, and a whole bunch of weird and interesting ways of wrangling it. But what's really important is if you're a neutral player, i.e. you are neither playing nor being named as the enemy, you roll a dice at the start of every phase, and if you roll a 6 you earn a treachery point. There are other ways of earning treachery points. For instance, if it's the end of a turn and you're losing the entire game, you get 3 treachery points, which I always did. But what's interesting is what you can do with those treachery points. You can, after receiving a charge, for instance, use one of your treachery points and you roll a d6, and on a 4 up you can agree on an alliance, which means they can no longer attack you. And if you've got enough treachery points, you can add to it. So you can make it a 3 up or a 2 up. I mean, a 1 always fails, but you can make it a 2 up. So you go through all the hell of charging and all the rest, and then someone goes, "Yeah, I'm just going to spend like 3 treachery points, roll a 2 up. All right, we're in an alliance now. You have to name an alternative enemy," and you can kind of go through all that. And there's all sorts of shenanigans. You can make people. You can play treachery points against other players. So, for instance, Jack was in a combat, and I needed him to win that combat to move a unit out of my way. So I actually gave his army +1 to hit, and I think re-rolling 1s or something like that. And then one of the other players joined in and stopped the Jack's opponent from attacking until the very end of combat. And you know, you've got all of this nasty treachery going off. It was hilarious. They've actually got rid of treachery points for the 2018 handbook, and it kind of works in a different way of just cutting deals with players by using your victory points. It was mental and chaos. It was hilarious. There was all sorts of weird deals being struck. There was arguments, there was saltiness. Sam would have loved it. There was so much salt in the room at one point. It was ridiculous. I charged, or rather Steve moved. I got a sort of semi-truce with Steve. I was like, look, if you keep out my way, my dwarves have got to get across the board to attract the Skaven. I want to attack the Skaven. So as long as you keep out my way, I'm cool. And I advanced to the middle of the table, and he moved this. There's a unit here, I'll show it on the screen. He moved this unit here, whatever they're called, chain ras, and he advanced them across towards me. And I was like, Steve, what are you doing, man? I really don't like the look of that. That's like, what? No, you're meant to be leaving that clear for me. He clearly thought I was going to betray him anyway and charge into him anyway. But I really wasn't. I was going for the Skaven because I thought that's just going to be an amazing battle. And Cossi, of course, he started to outflank me. Right into my turn, I named him as my opponent every single phase, which stopped him from... and I knew he got 0 treachery points. And I did that to stop him from being able to call me an ally. So when I charged him, so hero phase, movement phase, psychic phase. It just went through all of that. Magic phase, rather. Just went through it all like, Steve's my enemy, Steve's my enemy, Steve's my enemy. And he's getting more and more like, oh, it's like that, is it, Phil? It was just brilliant. And then when it came to the charge, I got a monumental charge in. I'd boosted my units to hell, because I got loads of treachery points. And I just wiped out 20. I think I wiped out about 6 or 7 of the chain rats just on the charge, because it was 30 sling shields going in there. And then in the round of combat, I put 7 or 8 guys onto his boss. They kind of surrounded him in a little circle because he was pulling stuff from the back, and he left his sort of boss exposed at the back. And I kind of wrapped round and I took him out, and then took the rest of the chain rats out. After that, it was like someone had poured 4 kilos of salt all over the table. It was awesome. It was just absolutely awesome. And everybody was just up in the ante on the treachery sort of turn in, turn out. So I want to thank Steve for hosting that game. He was trying to run a shop at the same time as like 4 other players going, so what happens now, Steve? You know, so he did incredibly well to host that game, but it was great fun. Really enjoyed it. So yes, that was definitely a highlight at the end of it. A tough week. I'm going to apologise now if I cough. I've taken some really strong. Of course, what I've got at the end of all of this is a bit of a cold, because why not? That's what I need, isn't it? And I've taken some really strong throat sweets to stop the cough, but I think it's starting to creep back in as I get excited about that game. I'm going to cover the chat a little bit. We've got a whole bunch of people saying hello to each other, which is always good. Big Rich talking about, so I'll make a small ultramarine group for the new Calgar character, which is a great model. I absolutely love it. And I'm listening to Dark Imperium now, I think, is the audiobook I'm listening to, and which Calgar's in it. It's very cool. Bluefur says, would be cool if GW or Forge will make a Left Behind Imperial Guard human faction that make power suits like the suits off the old movies, Live, Die, Repeat, and Elysium, and mix technology to survive. That would be a very cool faction, actually. Although I have been looking at, you know, you get the old Marines, and because the old Marines look quite small next to the Primaris now, I think you could have almost as a power-armoured human faction almost, I think, which would be pretty cool to do. But maybe like, you know, bare arms and just the chest brace and stuff like that, maybe, or something like that. Would be pretty cool. Harboff's Orc Archers, that was the second unit, but thank you for confirmation that I had the Harboff's Black Mountain Boys. I think the Black Mountains is maybe a joke around to the place just south of Birmingham around here, but who knows? Or it was somewhere in the old world, maybe. Who knows? Amit says, did anyone pick up the Battle Force that was released for the holiday period? Is everybody doing a new army for 2019 or bolstering what you already have? You guys? You going for any of the army boxes?
No, not me.
Oh.
Yep. I got the AdMech box.
Got the AdMech box.
It's a really good box.
That is a good box. The Jack's gone for the Daughters, of course, to finish off his Daughters of Cain. I think that puts him up to about 3,200 points with those added onto it. Given that one unit of 20 witch elves carved their entire way through, I think they took out 40 clan rats in one combat round. And by the way, there was damage left over to spare. Like he was like rolling as many dice as he got, and he went, "Oh, that's like 60 wounds, so just try and save those." And he tried to save those, and that was it. They were dead, and he didn't even bother with his second round of dice rolling. It was just insane that there. So yeah, he's really into his Daughters of Cain right now. It didn't help that the Triumph and Treachery stuff really pumped up his Daughters of Cain, because of course Jack read the 1 page of treachery points you can spend and instantly had it off by heart and knew exactly the right one to play at the right moment. But that's what happens when you're young, as opposed to me, who had to pick up the book every 10 seconds and go, "Oh, I could have done that then." Which is why I had so many treachery points, is because I missed so many opportunities to use them. So yes, Battle Force, we've got Daughters of Cain. I am also maybe going for... I picked up Zeech last year, and I haven't touched them yet, so I don't know. I don't know at the moment. I'll see. Martin D says... Sorry? If I haven't, then don't.
If you haven't, then don't.
Yeah, it's probably a good point. Did anyone... Oh, sorry, that was... I'm trying to shift some of mine, lol, as I brought a car, and Xmas has crippled me. Bless him, that's Martin Dix. CM says, not yet, Amit, but the Iden F1 is on my radar once Christmas shopping is done. Don't blame you, the Iden of Deepkin 1. It got some sort of... People were saying, oh, the Sharks, who needs 2 of the Sharks? But you know what? They're amazing models. And, you know, I think it's a bit like any of the Age of Sigmar armies. There's just some brilliant units in which do make you go... You know, competitively, why would I have that unit in there? But that doesn't stop you just getting some amazing models and painting them. Bluefer says, Warpseer, Packmaster and Giant Rats, 320 GG time draining army, lol. So that's somebody who definitely knows his Skaven. There was all sorts of nastiness going off on that. The bell was ridiculous. He never got the 6/6 though, which is what he was really hoping for, because I think that summons... what, Mark, do you know what the big Skaven bad guy is? The horned rat dude? Does it summon one of those? I think a great horned rat.
I'm not sure.
Something like that. I think on a 6/6 you get a free great horned rat. So I tell you what though, through various shenanigans, the Tree Lord Ancient was walking around with a 2-up save re-rolling wands. That was fun. That was fun.
What?
Yeah. Well, it's a 3-up save anyway, and he'd managed to put, you know, using an artifact, he pushed it to a 2-up save, I think. And then he was getting re-roll ones from something else as well. So Warlord trait maybe. I've already got the +1 from the Warlord trait, and the artifact gave him re-roll ones. It was something like that. So 2-up re-rolling ones, just a permanent Tree Lord. What was really funny, I decided to send my half-guard berserkers over there. I thought, you know what, they can kind of hit him with their flame spikes or whatever it is, and they might do a few mortal wounds, because they do mortal wounds. If you hit on a 3-up, you do a mortal wound. So I was thinking, you know, if I can survive a couple of rounds of combats, I might just be lucky enough to pull him down. And I got within an inch of him, and he pulled Alliance on me. And it was just, alright, I'll just stand next to you then. And actually the next turn, I couldn't be bothered with him. I ran off and attacked somebody else instead. So you got these dudes that marched all the way across the table, stood there and went, oh, you know what? Let's just leave that guy there, and just ran off to another combat. It really is a fun format. If nobody's ever tried it, you have to try it. It's great fun. We said we could do it on a battle report, but I think it would be impossible for people to keep track of what's going off. Because literally it's just 5 wargamers.
I don't think that's the point, is it?
Yeah, it's 5 wargamers shouting at each other, going, what? And by the way, there's nothing stopping you forming alliances as well without using treachery points. You can agree, yeah, I'm going to leave you alone. And you can see from Jack's deployment, he put himself, I'll bring his deployment back up again, and he put himself right over the edge of the table and just went, I'm just going to leave you alone, Phil. It's just... And everybody's just looking across going, oh, you guys. Right, okay then. Amit says Steve puts treachery into TNT. You got to watch out for him. Kim Arn Olsen Omer says, do you have to be paying member to post pictures on the WGO site? No, you do not. You do need to sign in though, which there's a free to register is free to sign in. So if you just go to the login or register, which I think is I'd have to log out to show you that right now. Hold on a second. So I'd have to show you that, but there's a login or register there. Just sign up for a free account, a freemium it was back in the day, and that means you can post to the forum. You can view the forum without even signing in, but the signing up for a standard account without any payment, the freemium account means you can post to the forum. There you go. And if you're about to post, I will oh, somebody's already said no, you can register for free. Thanks, Coleman. Sorry mate, I didn't spot that. Vermin Lord says Amit. It's all coming along now. Big Mac Danskill says evening all, just working on some Harry Potter minis from Night Models. Ooh, nice. So somebody's saying goodbye, I think, and I think Sam's going too. Maybe same night. Good night, Sam. Night, Sam. Sam's gone. That may have been about 20 minutes ago. But even
no,
way.
Just now, and Al Kirkham's gone.
Oh, okay. Night, Sam. Everyone's gone. Al Kirkham's gone. Big Mac Danskill's still in there, and Paul Collier is in there, and Big Rich is still in there. So we've still got a few people hanging around saying hello. Right. I've not had any questions up on the screen asking about chapter approved or anything like that. My first impressions are, by the way, before we get into my show, which will be the review will be going up probably on Wednesday, is the missions are awesome. The city fighting looks like a whole bunch of fun. Custom characters is pretty cool. I really like the idea you can create custom characters now, but it's only for narrative play, for open play rather. I like in narrative play now you can do battle honors for your units, so you can have units that just start to do, and it just opens up that whole. If you've had that, I've kind of done it with my armies anyway. I once had a striking scorpion exarch just stand undefeated to the end of a game. It was just absolutely incredible, and he died in the very last turn, and that's why I've got a striking scorpion wraithlord. You know, I like that narrative building of a stuff, and the stuff, the battle honors and the warrior battle honors that are now inside chapter approved really enables you to kind of build those custom units and modify them. Of course, I think most people are pretty excited about, there's the Sisters battle tome, Sisters Codex, mini codex, and there's a whole bunch of there, the 8 for Tau, which is very cool. And after that, really, it's about points. I'm really happy to see some of the points changes for my Space Elves. Very happy about that. You know, I'm definitely going to get my Wraith Knight finish now after about 10 years.
I was waiting for that one.
Demon Lizard says, you guys already talked about the army consolidations in Age of Sigmar. If you're talking about the website, you know what, why not? I'm going to bring the website up while you guys... Ralph, have you been looking into this? Someone was asking questions about this earlier.
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I had a look. I had a look at it earlier on today. And having had a look, I've got a feeling it doesn't maybe mean what we think it might mean.
It doesn't.
I don't think it means anything.
Yeah,
but go for it. Go for it. What's your reasoning?
Because it's far too general. It does look like it's tidying up the website, so it's easier to maybe find. So it's less confusing to look for things.
Yeah.
But there are some groupings that I don't think they would greatly work. I mean, you know, having had a look at things that interest me personally most. I've looked at the Free People's big grouping now, and there's everything there now. You know, all the Devoted of Sigmar, the College, the Wizards, the Arsenal, obviously Free Peoples, and so on and so on and so on. Every little bit of that, you know, massive diaspora of homeless little sub-factions. Some of them would make sense to bring together into a faction. Some others, I don't think so. It just, as it is now, as it is organized now under just Free Peoples, I think it's far too big to make sense from a game point of view.
I think at the end of the day, the big clue to this is if you go along to the FAQ and useful things and go to the Wall Scroll Builder, at the top you've got Choose a Grand Alliance, Chaos, Order, Destruction, Death. And if you select those and then go for your allegiance, you see everything that you see inside inside the website. So in many respects now, the website menu system has just been altered to reflect how the War Scroll Builder has segmented them anyway. It's a classic taxonomy and hierarchical structure. So you see Free Peoples, you see Wanderers, etc., etc., and you're just seeing that group together. In fact, actually, they've narrowed it down even more, haven't they? So Free Peoples is lots and lots of stuff now, isn't it? Is that right?
Well, that's what I say. But I've done, unless there's something changed in the War Scroll Builder as well, which I don't think it has.
No.
Then the War Scroll Builder is still as fragmented as the website used to be. So you know, you still got, say, dwarves separate with the slayers, miners, and a handful of heroes. They not legal. They not in GH18 in GHB 18 for they. I mean, you can still use them obviously for narrative and open play, but they still listed on the Wall Scroll Builder with the points, I think, from the last,
okay. So
they
they've
were
still
a
kept
year
them in
ago.
there. Yeah.
So the Wall Scroll Builder is still a little bit more generous in there. There are things still listed there.
Still some of the older faction stuff. Yeah.
Say legacy units.
Yeah.
So like I said, I think it's just tidying up on the website, so we don't have those massive, confusing sub-factions.
Come on then, Ralph, jump in. I can hear you in the background there.
There is one twitch to that, and that is narrative and open play. I think you're right, Coleman. It's basically a tidying up, but it's a tidying up with a specific target group in mind, and that's the newbie player coming up to Christmas that doesn't know too much about the lore, and that doesn't know how to start piecing together a competitive army for tournament play. And you've got a pretty big community out there that does narrative play and that does open play, and I think for them it's a perfect, it's a good move that they've grouped all those little tiny sub-fractions together and lumped them together into bigger factions.
I totally agree, yeah.
There's a comment in the chat I just want to actually bring up, which is Skaven. I think it's Demon Lizard from Outer Space. No, maybe not. CM was, talking about 2-up. I've read the chat somewhere. Where it's saying basically looking forward to Skaven being consolidated together, and I have to say that is a possibility. I think, you might see a grand alliance of Skaven, which enables you to do it across.
Yes, there are some of them. Skaven, the Grots.
Yeah, well, we know that there's been a leak about, or rather a preview from Games Workshop about. Destruction, some form, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's some form of grand alliance across the Grots.
Some of these make sense, but like I said, the one I've looked at into more into detail, that what's now in that big Free Peoples app, I just couldn't see it work. That is not a battle tome material there.
No.
Well, there's one other point of consideration. It might be looking into the future of what G-Dubs have got up their sleeves, because when you look at the battle tome of the Beast of Chaos, they might be coming up with similar stuff like that, and preparing the website.
But not. I don't think as a general pattern. They would handpick a couple that are most suitable.
Sure.
And carry on in that fashion, but I don't think they would introduce as a blanket solution to all the small factions, because first that would be lazy. Second, that wouldn't win the players, I don't think, and third, they do like to do things out of the blue, and that would be far too predictable.
Mr. Potter, anything to add to this debate?
Not really. I think that's everything covered. I think it's at the end of the day, GW have their target for new players. I think.
Yeah,
at the moment.
Makes life easy.
That's the main focus.
I think ultimately this is about making the site easier to navigate, easier to understand where the factions sit. And also simplifying the list, isn't it, quite dramatically, rather than there being thousands in the factions. It's just easy enough to see a few.
Yeah, they don't want to bog it down.
Which, by the way, Beast of Chaos, what a cool faction, but that's just a side note. I really love that army. Right, okay. CM says, I've run into the 2+ reroll in one Streelord before. It's worse than a Nurgle greater unclean one with endless gift battle shot phase roll for each wound that taken that turn. On a 4+ regain it, and Festus. Yeah, I mean, the Tree Lord, of course, did take a few wounds. Jack piled in there with a whole bunch of his wonderful witch elves, and I think he managed to take about 4 or 5 wounds off him, which was incredible when you think about it. He healed 3 of them the following turn, and the remaining one the turn after.
It's like Jack hates Silver.
Yeah. Well, Jack just moved on. Jack literally did the same thing I did. He went, that's never dying. And he literally the next turn ran away from it and charged somebody else. And then went through them and moved on and charged somebody else. He did this amazing thing where he covered about 4 foot of the board in one turn. You know, it was just absolutely awesome to see. Very cool. Right, I'm off, says Martin Dix. He's got Christmas decorations to do. Excuse me. Demon Lizard from Outer Space said, did you remember the army presentations on Warhammer Community when Age of 2 Sigmar 2 launched? They're the same categories, exactly. They're just sticking with those simplified categories now, aren't they? Amit says, question, are Primaris basically what Space Marines should have been from the beginning? Question mark. Would you be sad if generic Space Marines were phased out eventually? Mark, you're more of a 40k player than the other two, I think. Well, you know, Ralph does his bit of 40k as well, but we'll go for you first.
I hope they'd leave the regular Marines in. I think they've just been the iconic thing for so many years, but GW do what they want to do, I suppose.
You think they'll stay in for a while then?
Yeah, I think at least a few years, but I think eventually it wouldn't surprise me if they do phase them out eventually.
I think at the end of the day, you know, for me, it comes down to the quality of the models, doesn't it? And, you know, I think the nice thing about sort of the Space Marines versus Primaris Marines to a degree is imagine a future in 4 or 5 years' time from now where, you know, they're starting to phase out the Marines just as we're seeing some of the old factions being phased out now. As long as they allow people to say, well, here's a bunch of rules so you can keep using your models. This is what the, you know, the old chapters look like. You know, and I think that's what they've achieved with the Primaris. There's nothing stopping you doing a chapter now which is 100% Primaris. Nor is there anything stopping you doing a chapter that is 0% Primaris. So at the moment, I think it's a happy medium. If you love the models of the old factions, let's face it, if they are going to phase them out, it's going to take them an age anyway. You know, there are so many Space Marine models. Okay, they've replaced Calgar. You know, that's like one dude. You know, it's like, you know, we all know they're fond of Lieutenant models. So I'm assuming that's just what they've done with Calgar, because he kind of is that to Gilliman now, isn't he?
I think they'll try and avoid another situation they have with squats that people are crying out.
Well, you know, you just take, for instance, the Dark Angels factions. Okay, so the flyers and stuff, you could take the Dark Angel flyers. That's all good, but the vehicles with the dudes sat in it, you know, okay, you can't see their legs, so maybe you could say they were Primaris anyway, except they've got, you could put an upgrade sprue in that vehicle, so you could do a Primaris riding in the vehicle. But you know what you're going to do with the bikers, the Terminator squads, and those kind of things. All of those would need some form of replacement, wouldn't they? So, and that's just one chapter. So,
yeah,
long way to go.
I don't think they will replace them or phase them out because lore-wise, they're two different gene seeds.
Yeah, and you know, and the warp being the warp, and timelines being timelines. You know, I'm listening to the Dark Imperium. And the Dark Imperium audiobook is set 100 years after Gilliman came back, at the end of the Indomitus Crusade. So they're already 100 years into the Primaris being around. There's nothing wrong with you. You know, the timeline of the game of 40k is actually quite broad, isn't it? You know, while it's Warhammer 40k, you've pretty much got 1,000 years to choose from of whereabouts you play in that timeline. So you could be before Gilliman came back or after. You can be, you know, after the Crusade is over. Because obviously a lot of the Primaris remained on the Crusade. It was only kind of at the end of the Crusade that they started really shipping out the rest of the Primaris to the chapters. What I'm really excited about, one bit that was in that book, was the conversation between Cole and Gilliman, where basically Cole wants to use the other chapters, because he's done them all. He's done all 20 chapters, I think, basically. So, you know, he's got gene seed of all of them, and he's corrected all of their failings. And, of course, Gilliman is not keen on him, you know, using, you know, some of the, you know, Night Lords and stuff like that. But what I really like about it is Gilliman also suspects that Call's just going to like not listen to him and release them anyway. So there's nothing really stopping you doing a loyalist Night Lord faction in Primaris, because he's meant to have trialed them. Call admits to Gilliman that he's been trialing them under certain conditions, and they've been performing well. So I really love that idea. You could do a Night Lord Primaris faction. Oh, come on, Coleman. We listened to your, like, early 1900s stories.
25 minutes of dwarves.
25 minutes of dwarves. Anyway, Johnny Rockstar. Johnny Rockstar says, considering I have 6,000 points of Ultramarines, if they phase them out, I'd be ranging. Well, there you go, you see. There's a lot of people with a lot invested in this, but don't forget that they did indeed phase out some of the old fantasy rages. So they do have the will to do it. And I do think whilst right now they might well be your favourite models, if I look back at the early lead models for my orcs, etc., there's a couple of them that I've got a soft spot for, but I don't look at them and go, they're great models. Not when you compare them to the stuff that's been released now. And I think ultimately we're a fickle bunch, and we will chase really beautiful models as well. So there you go. Ralph says he's updated his AdMech post. Should we pop along, Ralph? I'll see if I can do that.
Do what you please. It's your show.
Well, it's kind of our show, to be honest. I am going to have to go to bed soon, though. I have to think that we've got 5 minutes away, so let's see if we can. Nope, I can't see it, Ralph. Oh wait, we've got some. You know what? We'll do this because you've gone to the trouble of uploading the image. So there you go. There's your AdMech. That's nice, dude. So
all
5 of those,
colors, apart from the metallics.
Ah, okay, so all bar the mechanics. That's war colors. Nice.
Yep.
Nice. I look forward to a game, Ralph, whenever we can arrange that one day. If it's it'll be possible one day, won't it?
I've got the terrain.
Thordalim says drink water occasionally. Feel like it's here. Look, there's my water. I've also got a little bit of throat medicine in this glass here as well, which I'm not drinking on camera. Helps with a dry throat. If they face out normal, Coleman, is that you laughing, Coleman, because of what I said earlier? Coleman asked what brand of throat medicine I was drinking. I said, is it bad? Is it bad if I don't know? He replied back with, it's only bad if you don't care. Oh dear. Anyway, right. Johnny Rockstar says if they phase out normal Marines, then they'd have to get rid of the Rhino outside HQ since Primaris can't use it. Well, there you go. That's way too much of an investment. Calgar's new box comes with regular Marines. There you go. And that's true, actually. The Battle Force box they've released is all regular Marines, isn't it? David Ellis is in there saying, "Sups, beep. Hey, David Ellis, how you doing?" Excuse me. Glass of water. Johnny Rockstar, I've lost 2 Warhammer armies, Dogs of War and Bretonnians. I know the pain. I feel for you, sir. I feel for you. There needs to be a place for old armies to go. Right.
Yeah, it's called eBay.
It's called eBay. Yeah. That's the place for unbuilt armies to go as well, isn't it? Oh, right. Okay. I think Harboff's Orc Archers has gone. I think I've just scrolled massively up the chat there by accident. I think maybe, yes, comes with Sturmguard, says Frost and Fist. By the way, they're beautiful models. I am indeed starting Ultramarines. That's one of my armies for next year. I'm exactly one army behind where I wanted to be for my target this year. So I've got to make up for it next year, but I will be doing Ultramarines.
Lower your target.
Pardon?
Or lower your target.
Or lower my target. No, life's too short to lower targets, Ralph. Right, my voice is going. Somebody say goodnight to everyone. Okay, let's call it a night. I hope you enjoyed the show. It's a bit of a random one tonight. I just wanted to catch up with everyone and give you a bit of an update and explain why there's been a couple of delays, but the content is flowing fast and strong again. There's going to be a video going up tomorrow night, definitely Thursday night, possibly Wednesday night as well. So look out for those. And I believe one of our wonderful editors, Rich, who's editing, I think, the final draft of a battle report as well. So we're going to be releasing about 6 battle reports in short succession, some to YouTube, some to premium as well. So look out for those. They will be going up definitely on Sunday at the latest. It will be Saturday, because on Sunday, I did need to mention this. On Sunday, of course, we are at Barwell Bodyworks filming the airbrush workshop with some of the people who won the prize on the airbrush workshop. I have had someone drop out. One of the premium members has had to drop out of the workshop, so I will be going back to the premium video, reviewing whoever came second. If you're out there, let me know, get in touch. But I'll be trying to get in touch with them. So I'll be trying to make sure that I fill every space at the workshop, and you will probably see a little bit of live Facebook on the day as well. And I'm not forgetting that somewhere in there somebody also said, when are we going to see the WGO tournament? I can tell you that you are definitely going to see it in 2019. I am indeed meeting with the owner of the location of it this weekend. So plans are afoot. Or a hand, as they say. Yes, we will be holding a tournament in 2019. It will be, and this is the word you use instead of small, an exclusive event. So it's not going to be huge. I think the maximum we can probably host, is probably about 15, 16 tables, something like that. And I think realistically we'll probably aim for about 10. So there you go. That's going to be the plan. It's going to be it's going to be over a weekend, and it will involve accommodation as well. So it's a place that you come, stay, have fun. There is all sorts of food and bar and everything else. So it's going to be brilliant. But it's still in the planning stage, so big news coming. To ensure that the thing actually happens, I'll probably be taking a leaf out of the book of a few other people, and I might run the ticket sales through Kickstarter, because that way I know definitely then that people are committed and they're coming. And as soon as I've got the the minimum amount of people we need to make it happen, we will be doing it, and that's how exciting it is. What I want to do though is just give you all a range of dates on the Kickstarter, so we'll be like this date, or this date, or I'm just going to name a date, and then people who can go can go. So I do need to work all of that out. Right, I am going to say goodnight. I'm going to say thank you very much to my guests for joining me. I know it's been one of those. Mark, next time I'm going to ask you more questions, I promise.
No worries.
Okay. Right, thank you very much all for joining us. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Coleman. Thank you, Mark. And we'll see you all again soon. I'm going to put the end credits up and call it a night. I'm going to have a good old cough as soon as I've hit the end credits. So you might want to mute yourself. Bye.
Bye, guys.